Hello and welcome to Sobi Christine. In today's tutorial, you'll be learning how to make this loose fitted gown. This gown has two strings at the sides that makes it very easy to pull, and it also has two side pockets. If you look at the hooded cap, you realize it has this drape effect at the back. Since this fabric is a designed one, a plain material is used to bias the edges of the pockets, but if you're making use of a plain fabric for the main dress, then you can use Ankara to bias the edges of the pockets. So if this tutorial is what you're interested in watching, do watch this video to the end and try not to skip any part so you do not miss out on any information. Also, before we proceed, I would like you to hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and turn your post notification bell on. I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 4. Next, I'm going to roll the starting line at the top part of this fabric. On this line, I'm going to take the neck width and I'm going to mark down 3 inches. For the back neck depth, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. Next, I will connect that 1 inch to meet with the neck width. On this line, I'll go ahead and mark down the half shoulder width measurement, which is 7 inches. From that 7 inches, I'm going to mark down the sleeve length, which is 9 inches. Next, I'm going to come down from this marked area and I will mark down 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Next, I'm going to connect the neck width to meet with this 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Next is a sleeve width measurement. From the shoulder slope, I will come downward by 9 inches for the sleeve width. At the top part of this fabric, I'm going to take the measurement that I have there and I'll transfer that same measurement to the area here where I marked the sleeve width. Next, I will connect from the shoulder slope downward using a straight line. Afterwards, I'm going to mark down 1 inch for the same allowance. Next, I'm going to measure from the top part of this fabric to where I have the sleeve width mark and I will transfer the measurements to the side of the dress. After that, I'll go ahead and connect both points using a straight line. Next is to mark down the width of this dress. At the hemline here, I'm going to mark down the quarter hip measurements. I'll add 3 inches to it for ease and I'll add 1 inch to it for the same allowance. After that, I'll go ahead and take the full measurement there. That is the quarter hip measurements plus 3 plus 1. The total measurement I had at the hemline is 14 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark 14 inches. As I mark, I'm going to connect downward using a straight line till I get to the sleeve width line. Afterwards, I'll go ahead and connect these two lines together using a curved line like so. At the shoulder line here, I'm going to add 0.5 inch seam allowance. Then I'll go ahead and cut out this fabric. Do note that we've only measured out the back neckline. We are yet to measure out the front neckline. Before we measure out the front neckline and cut that off, we'll need to separate the back from the front. Alright, it's time for us to separate the back from the front. After laying down the front piece properly, I'm going to measure the neck depth, which is 3 inches. I'm going to place my tape at the starting line there and connect 3 inches to the center front. Now when you want to draw the neck curve, do not go deep. Since the neckline is for a hooded cap, you don't have to draw your curve too deep like the way you do your regular neckline. See the way I curved this? All you need is just a slight curve there. Afterwards, I'll go ahead and cut this out. You can see the neckline here is not too deep. From the center front here, I'm going to come down by 4 inches for the neck slit opening. Then at the neck depth area here, I'm going to go inward by 0.5 inch. After marking 0.5 inch, I'll connect this to the 4 inches mark. I'll go ahead and cut this out. Next, I'm going to cut the facing of this dress using this piece of fabric. I'll fold this into 2 and place the front part on it like so, ensuring I have about 2 inches at the top part. At the base, you should have about 3 inches. Afterwards, I'll go ahead and cut out the facing. I'll also cut out the edge of this facing. I'll go ahead and open up the front part. Then I'll place the facing onto the neck area. So this is how your facing should look like. Next, I'll go ahead and iron my gum stay onto this facing. Before sewing, I thought of increasing the neck width of this dress from 3 inches to 3.5 inches. So the neck width that I will be using for the hood is 3.5 inches, no longer 3 inches. After cutting this for the front, I'll also cut out the back neckline to the 3.5 inches. Now this is based on your preference. If you want yours to remain at 3 inches, then you should leave it at 3 inches. I've gone ahead to iron the gum stay onto this facing, and I've also sewn the edges. Next, I'm going to be sewing this facing onto the main dress. I'll place this right side facing right side, and I'll take this to the sewing machine and sew from this end through to the other end. This is it, guys. I've gone ahead to sew this. The next thing is for me to notch this area. After notching, I'm going to turn this facing to the wrong side of this dress. Then I'll go ahead and iron this out. Alright guys, I've gone ahead to iron this, and this is what it looks like. Next is for us to join the shoulders together. So I'm going to bring in the back one and place them right side facing right side, and I'm going to sew the shoulders close. I've gone ahead to sew the shoulders, and this is what it looks like. Next, I'm going to turn this to the wrong side. I'll take this to the sewing machine, and I'm going to fold the sleeve area inward this way and sew this down. Next is for me to close the sides of this dress. I'm going to be using up the 1 inch for the seam allowance to close up the sides like so. But before I do that, I'm going to mark down where I want my slit opening to begin. So I want my slit opening to start at length 34 inches. On this area that I have marked the slit opening, I'm going to mark the 1 inch for the seam allowance. These areas that I've just marked are the places that I'm going to be stitching. If you do not want to take your measurements from your shoulder, you can take your measurements from the hemline. Coming up from the hemline, you can mark 22 inches. I'll come to this side of the dress as well, and I'm going to take down 34 inches from the shoulder line. Then I'll go ahead and mark down 1 inch for the seam allowance through to the sleeve area. I'm done sewing the sides, and this is what it looks like. I've also secured the hem of the sleeve. Next is for us to sew this slit opening. So I'm going to lay this part open like so, and I'll fold it twice inward. So this area that I've folded is where I'm going to be running my stitches, and I'll do this for the 4 parts. Afterwards, I'll go ahead and hem the base of this dress. I've gone ahead to sew the slit opening. This is what it looks like. And I've also hemmed the base of this dress. Next, I'll be working on the pockets. I've gone ahead to cut 2 pieces of this fabric. Each of these is length 11 and width 9. I have this white piece of fabric here that I will be using for biasing the edges, and this is 1.5 inches. I'll go ahead and fold this fabric in 2 like so, and I'm going to draw a curve at the edge here. I'll go ahead and cut out this marked area. After cutting, this is what it looks like. Next, for this piece of fabric, I'm going to fold this down and iron this side. I'll fold this other part and also iron it. After ironing, I'm going to bring this pocket inward and fold this other edge over the pocket and sew through to this other end. I'm done sewing the pocket, and this is what it looks like. Next is for me to fold the tip. I'm going to fold this inward twice and run my stitches over it. I'll do the same thing for the second one. Alright guys, I've gone ahead to sew the tip of these pockets. For the pocket placement, I'm going to mark down from the shoulder line 22 inches, that is 6 inches from the waistline, or you can mark down 4 inches before your hip line. I'll come to this side of the dress and I'll also mark down 22 inches. After marking down this value, I'm going to turn this clothes to the side and extend the markings to the other side of the dress. Next, I'll bring the pocket and fold it in 2. Afterwards, I'm going to mark the midpoint. Then I'll place the pocket onto this side of the dress, ensuring that the midpoint that I've marked on the pocket aligns with the side seam. Then I'll go ahead and sew this pocket onto this dress. When you are sewing, you want to ensure you sew onto the first layer of the dress. Make sure you pin down the pocket onto the main dress before sewing to keep the pocket in place. Once I'm done sewing the first pocket, I will go ahead and sew the second one to the other side. Here's the pocket all sewn up. As you can see, this is looking very neat. The next that we'll be working on now is the channel for the string. From the shoulder line, I'm going to come down by 16 inches, which is the length of the waistline. I'll do the same thing for this side of the dress, and I'm going to connect all the points together. Next, I'll turn this to the other side and transfer my markings from the front onto the back. Afterwards, I'll proceed to marking down 16 inches all through. Now, this is the fabric that I'll be using for the channel. The width of this fabric is 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to open up my dress this way. Afterwards, I'm going to fold the tip of this piece of cloth and I'll place it close to the line. Next, I'll take this to a sewing machine and sew onto the main dress. When sewing, you want to separate the first layer from the one beneath so you don't sew onto the one beneath it. Alright guys, I've gone ahead to sew this and this is what it looks like. I'll just cut out this excess here. Next, I'm going to fold this area inward and I'll place it down onto the main dress and run my stitches onto it. I'm done sewing the channel for the strings and here we have it. So I'll turn this to the right side so we can create the openings where the strings will pass through. At the edge here, I'm just going to mark a dot there with my chalk, and I'll do the same thing at the back. Note that I'm placing these markings on the channel area. After marking this, I'll go ahead and cut open a very tiny hole on those areas that I marked. And when you want to cut, make sure that you cut only the first layer so it doesn't affect the inner ones. I'll do the same thing for the remaining 3 areas. I'm done cutting out the openings for the string. Next is for me to pass the string into the channel. Note that for this dress, I'm making use of 2 strings. So guys, if you have watched this tutorial to this point and you have not liked this video, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and if you want to get notified whenever I post new tutorials, turn your post notification bell on. If you have questions regarding this tutorial or on my previous tutorials, feel free to ask your questions in the comment section. Also, do not forget to share this video to those that will be interested in watching. I'm done passing the first string, and see where we have the ends here. So when you pass your string, you should have both ends at one side. I'll go ahead and tie off the ends of each of these strings. Next, I'm going to pass the second one. The second string will pass through the first opening at this side and come out through the second opening, still at the same side. Alright guys, I'm done passing the strings, and this is what it looks like. You can see this is very easy to pull and it looks very beautiful. I'll go ahead and secure the ends of these strings so we can move to making the hooded cap. For the hoodie part, I've gone ahead to place my fabric here, and I have this folded into 4. The height of this hoodie is 16 inches, but I have this here at 18 inches. I'm going to leave 2 inches for the seam allowance. So at the base here, I'll go ahead and mark down 1 inch for seam here. Then after that, I'll connect all the points together. To get the height of your hood, place your tape at one part of your collarbone on your neck region, then take the tape over your head to the other collarbone. Let's say you got 30 inches. Divide 30 inches by 2. That is going to give you 15 inches. Then you add 1 inch to it, that's 16. So that is the measurement I'm using here. I've also gone ahead to mark down the 1 inch seam allowance at the top part so that I'll be left with 16 inches for the length. If you're not sure about the measurements that you should use for the height of your hoodie cap, then go ahead and make use of 17. It is actually ideal for an adult. But if you're making a hoodie cap for a child, then you'll have to take the measurements just the way I've explained it. At the center front here, I'm going to mark down 1 inch or so for the seam allowance, or we can just call these our border lines. So you can see after marking down the border lines, we have the height of the hood cap at 16 inches. Next is to measure out the width of this hoodie. The width is 9 inches, but I would add 1 to it to give 10 inches. To get the width for your hoodie cap, measure from one eye to the other eye. Let your tape pass through the back of your head from one eye to the other eye, then you divide your value by 2. I got 18 inches. When I divided that by 2, it gave me 9, then plus 1, that gives 10 inches. I'm going to divide this line here by 2. Remember, we have 10 inches here, so the midpoint is 5 inches. Then at this part, I'm going to come out by 0.5 inch. Then from there, I'll come down by 1 inch. After that, I'll go ahead and connect these 2 marked areas using a curved line. Coming to this line here, which is at the center back, I'm going to divide this line by 2. Then from the midpoint, I'll go out by 4 inches. This will help us achieve the drape effect that we have on the hooded cap. Then I'm just going to draw a curve from this marked area to this 4 inches mark. So this extended area is for the drape at the back of this hood cap. From the center back, I'm going to come up by 2 inches. Then I'll connect these 2 inches to the 4 inches mark here. On getting to this center back line, just blend this curve down to the center back. Still on the center back, we are going to mark down our back neckline measurement. So I'll come up here by 1 inch for the neck depth, and I'm going to mark down the neck width here, which is 3.5 inches. After that, I'm just going to connect this way. And on getting to the 3.5 inch line, I'm just going to blend that area into a curve. Next is for us to take the half measurement of the entire neckline. So I'm going to fold this dress into 2 like so. Then I'll take the measurement from the center back through to the center front. After measuring, I got 9.25 inches. So from the center back where I have this curved line, I'm going to measure 9.25 like so. Once I get to 9.25, I'll mark down my value. After marking, I'm going to connect the 0.5 inch out there to meet with this 9.25. So this is what the front would look like. When connecting your hood, ensure what you have here is 1 inch from the border line to that curved area. Afterwards, I'll go ahead and add 0.5 inch seam allowance all through this hoodie cap. Next, I'll go ahead and cut this out. So I'll go ahead and separate this hoodie piece. One pair would be for the lining, while the other pair would be for the main hoodie. Next, I'll go ahead and sew through to the end here, from this part to this end. This is it, guys. I'm done sewing this, and this is what they look like. Next, I'll place this right side facing right side. Make sure the seams of both fabrics are well aligned. At the base here, I'm going to fold one of these inward before sewing. And when I get to this end as well, I'll also fold this inward. Okay guys, this is it. I'm gonna head to sew this, and this is what the cap looks like. I'll take this back to the sewing machine and run a top stitch on this. This is optional, but if you want to run your top stitch, you can go ahead and do that. I'm gonna head to run the top stitch on this cap. And what I'll be doing next is to sew the cap to the dress. I'm going to get the midpoint of the back piece by folding this in two. Once I get the midpoint, I'm going to notch that part. Next, I'm going to place this right side facing right side onto this dress, and I'll pin it down. Note that I'm working on one part of this hoodie cap. Once I'm done sewing this part, I'm going to sew the lining of this hooded cap. When sewing, make sure that the seam of the hooded cap at the center aligns with the notched area of the center back. I'm done pinning this. Next, I will sew along the pinned area. So this is it, guys. I'm gonna head to sew this. Next is for me to sew the lining of this hooded cap. So I'm going to fold the lining inward like so onto the area that I have sewn and run my stitches over this. Alright guys, this is it. I'm done stitching this, and this is our hooded cap. This is an amazing piece, and as you can see, this came out really nice. You really do not want to end this tutorial without giving this video a thumbs up. please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and if you want to get notified whenever I post new tutorials, turn your post notification bell on, and do not forget to share to friends and families. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.